So let's talk about the upcoming Samsung Galaxy Note 10 because it looks like officially this thing is right around the corner and we do actually have all the specs already leaked when it comes to this smartphone. Let's first talk about the different models because just like any other premium smartphone, it does look like this smartphone specifically is going to be getting different variants. Now it looks like we have two models of the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. We're going to have the standard Note 10, which is just going to be called the Galaxy Note 10, and then we will have a bigger and better version called the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. We're not going to have three different models just like the Samsung Galaxy S10. You guys know with the S10, we had the S10e, the S10, and then the S10 Plus, but it looks like they're not going to have a budget model of this phone. The one that you want to get if you want to save a little bit money is definitely the Galaxy Note 10. Not to say that the phone is going to be cheap in the first place. Of course, it's still going to be a very expensive smartphone when this thing comes out on the market, but at least if you want to save a little bit cash, you definitely want to go with the Galaxy Note 10, and then they will have a better version, of course, with a little bit better specs and things like that called the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. It was rumored for a while that it was going to be called the Galaxy Note 10 Pro, but they dropped the Pro tagline on the Galaxy Note 10 Plus because they didn't really want to confuse consumers. And what really makes devices pro? Are you a pro because you're using that device? Are you a pro because you're doing a lot of things on your device? It's really hard to say why they consider devices pro devices. So many devices on the market have that pro tagline. I guess it's nice that Samsung kind of figured that they really didn't need the pro tagline when it comes to the Galaxy Note 10, so they dropped it and just called it the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. So that's nice. I think by actually having the tagline pro, it may actually confuse consumers, and consumers may think they are actually getting some features that aren't actually available in the Galaxy Note 10 original, so they don't want to they don't actually want to confuse consumers. What they actually want to do is just make them feel like they're getting somewhat of a little bit better phone, but overall you're not going to be missing too many features when it comes to the actual core features of the phone. So I get why they dropped the whole pro tagline. Am I actually a fan of the pro tagline? Do I think companies out there should name their stuff pro? It's really hard to say. Sometimes I think it's okay, and sometimes I don't think it's okay, because what does pro actually indicate? It's just very interesting to see why companies call their devices quote-unquote pro devices. But anyway, like I said, we have two different models. There's no really leaks or rumors about the price tag of any of these two models of the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. So I'm assuming the original one's going to be probably close to $1,000, and then the Galaxy Note 10 Plus is probably going to be $1,200 or $1,300. It's probably going to be an expensive device. So when you buy this thing, just know you're paying a premium price for the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 and Note 10 Plus. Now let's actually talk about some of the specs. Let's talk about the Note 10 screen sizes. So it looks like on the original model, or the regular version of this, not the Plus, it's going to be 6.8 inches in a QHD Plus, so pretty much 1440p plus. And then on the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, it does look like you will get a slightly better display. You will be getting a 6.3 inch. I know what I just said. It does sound weird, but they actually, for some reason, this website actually has this whole thing screwed up, because the 6.8 inch should be the Note 10 Plus, and the 6.3 inch should be the original Note 10. So that should be it. And then, of course, the QHD one, I think, should be the Note 10 Plus, and the FHD Plus should be the Galaxy Note 10. I know this is all confusing to you, but the website that I'm currently on definitely got this thing kind of screwed up. So who really knows how many other rumors and speculations they actually got wrong. But it looks like for both of these devices, you are going to have an option for the processor, and they are either going to be a Snapdragon or an Exynos from Samsung. We got the 855 or the 9825 Exynos from Samsung. So it looks like, of course, when it comes to the Note 10, you will be getting the latest and greatest when it comes to the Snapdragon or the Exynos processor from Samsung. So that's very good. It looks like you will have two different options. It looks like the Note 10 apparently is going to have standard 8 gig of RAM, and then the Galaxy Note 10 Plus is going to have 12 gigabytes of RAM. What do all these specs actually mean in the long run? In the long run, it seems nowadays when phones come out on the market, specs don't really necessarily tell the whole story about how laggy the phone is going to be, how well it's going to perform, and things like that, because you do have to take in consideration on the Android side of things. There's so many things that come into consideration, especially when it comes to Android operating system. Not everything uses a stock Android operating system. A lot of these companies like Samsung, LG, Motorola, HTC always use a skin on top of Android, so you never know how well in the long run is it going to get laggy and things like that. You'll have to wait and see when you get this phone in your hands, but most likely it's going to be a pretty solid experience. But yeah, those are the options when it comes to RAM, 8 and 12 gigabyte of RAM. And then for storage, it looks like both models are going to have 256 gig of storage, so that's pretty good. And I think nowadays 256 is a lot of memory. I'm not sure if this thing's going to have a micro SD card, because there was rumors floating around it was going to have a micro SD card slot, it wasn't going to have a micro SD card slot, was it going to have actually expandable storage. It's really hard to tell in the long run if this device was going to have any expandable storage, but 256 out of the box is a lot. And nowadays I think a lot more users are streaming things on the internet, whether it's YouTube, Netflix, their music and things like that. And we also have cloud storages that do take an effect as well. So I think 256 should get you by. I know there's some users out there that are probably saying, no, I don't need 256. I need things like 512 or even 1 terabyte option. But I think for the mainstream consumer, 256 gig of built-in storage is going to be a lot of storage. And then for the rear cameras, this one's the one that's actually still up in the air. It says that the standard Note 10 is going to have 3 cameras, and then on the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, it's going to have 3 cameras plus 1 plus time something else. So it looks like they're both going to have 3 cameras on the back of the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 devices, no matter which one you buy. But I actually heard there's other rumors floating around the internet as we speak, where someone actually said the Galaxy Note 10 Plus is actually going to have, get this, 5 cameras on the back. Yes, you heard me right. 5 cameras on the back. Now, is that necessarily true? And do I actually believe that? Who really knows? But I think they don't want to steer too much from the Galaxy Note 10 to the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. They don't want to give it that much more features. I think they just want to give it a slightly bigger screen, a slightly better resolution, maybe a bigger battery, maybe more RAM, and things like that. By adding I think 2 more cameras from the 3 that the Note 10 is already going to have, it would pretty much also bump up the actual price of this thing. At that point, I think this thing would be $1,300 or $1,400 with 5 cameras. And why in the world would any actual smartphone need 5 cameras? I know there's a lot you can do with cameras nowadays, and I know a lot of smartphones are moving towards more cameras. More cameras the better, but that's not necessarily always the best solution, because if you look at things like the Google Pixel phone. The Google Pixel phone line's been out for about 3 years now with the Google Pixel 1, 2, and 3, and you can see they've been doing some amazing stuff on the software side of things when it comes to the camera. And if you actually look on the back of the latest Google Pixel phone, the Google Pixel 3 phone, you will notice that there is only 1 camera on the back, and you can see it's one of the best cameras money can buy on a smartphone. So I'm not sure why they would actually put 5 cameras on the back. I know, like I said before, all these companies are always moving towards the future, and they want to have as many cameras as possible on the back. Is that actually true? Who really knows? I still personally think that we're only going to see 3 cameras on both models, because, like I said, it would raise the price, and they don't really want to indicate that the Galaxy Note 10 is miles better than the Galaxy Note 10, so they want to keep them very similar. And also they're going to be on the very same mold, so when they're actually developing these devices, it would be easier for them to develop these devices if they're somewhat similar when it comes to the actual design of this thing. And then for the battery, here's something interesting for the battery. Of course, it looks like for the Galaxy Note 10 regular size, we're going to have 3,400 to 3,500 milliamp. And for a big budget phone like that, that's actually quite disappointing, since I'm assuming the Galaxy Note 10 regular model is going to be quite expensive for what it is. And if they're deciding to put 3,400 to 35 milliamp hour, and that's kind of scary, because phones nowadays should have bigger batteries, but it is what it is. I guess you can buy a battery bank, a battery case, or whatever the case may be, and it's still not that small for a smartphone, but there it is. And then for the Galaxy Note 10, this one is where it becomes much more substantial, and you are actually getting a pretty good increase in size of the battery, of course, since you are getting a bigger phone with a bigger screen and things like that. So of course they can put a bigger battery in it, but you are going to be getting a 4300 to 45 milliamp battery inside the actual device. So that's something that is very interesting to know about the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. So you can see right here which one is the best one to go with. Of course, the best one to go with is going to be the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. You'll get a bigger screen, a bigger battery, potentially more RAM, and potentially more cameras if those rumors are true. But it's just very interesting to see that there is going to be two models of the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, the Note 10 and the Note 10 Plus. No announcements on any of the actual price tag on both of these devices, and then you do have to realize these are only rumors and speculations at this point. So some of the stuff that I just read off to you could be wrong, but I guarantee you this thing is right about to launch in August, I do believe. So if this thing's right about to launch in a couple of weeks, I don't think a lot of this is too far off from the actual phone that's about to come out on the market. And I think they actually added some more improvements to, let's say, the S Pen. They're always working on the S Pen implementations and things like that when it actually comes to the device. And here's actual pictures of the actual devices. Why do I actually think of the design of the Samsung Galaxy Note 10? Honestly, if you ask me if I like the design or don't like the design of this phone, I think I actually like the design of this phone. This phone looks like it is a modern day smartphone. It does look somewhat futuristic. I love how the display wraps around. I love the fact that I guess the camera cutout's not too aggressive. They still do have that camera punch out, but it looks like they have moved the camera punch out from the right side, like the Samsung Galaxy S10, to the middle of the display on the top. So that's something very interesting. And it looks like you still do have a slight chin at the top of the device. And overall, this phone looks like it's going to be one hell of a phone when this actually comes out on the market in August, and you can finally get your hands on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from MyTech News, signing out.